Namaskar. I'm Kumar Rakesh and you're watching Global Governance News TV. Today we're going to discuss the Freebie politics in India. And this is a time of election now. From 10th February, India, there's going to election 5 states, assembly elections. Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Manipur, Goa, and Punjab. And as we have seen and analyzed just how the political leaders offering freebies to lure voters to capture power is now quite common during the election time. Recently, last Aam Aadmi Party won a thumping majority in the last Delhi Assembly elections, promising the free water and electricity. Now it promises to supply the same to the people of Punjab if voted to power in the assembly election uh, go, just, going to be held on 10th February. In Goa, he also promised. In Punjab, also promised. In UP, he has no say anything. And Uttarakhand, they're also trying to do it. Same tricks, same formula. In a democracy, political parties announce their policies and program in their manifestos, which are guiding documents for the governance if they come to power. The opposition parties and civil society use it to assess the performance of the ruling party. However, promising freebies from the state exchequer raises moral, ethical, and serious administrative and the legal issues. The revenue is collected from the taxpayer and set procedures to exist for using this money for the welfare of the people. Is it not a corrupt practices and loot of treasury to garner votes, promising something for free when it requires money to procure? Competitive politics may see a party tomorrow promise free ration to all. We have seen in the different states elections and already in the last parliamentary election also. And there would come a time when the government revenues would be dedicated only disbursing the freebies. And now economic effects. This will have the debilitating impacts if political parties and election commission of India do not intervene. Should be. And as we know, the freebie concept is already hitting the financial management of the country. Before the Forest Conservation Act 1980 came into existence, forest areas were routinely encroached upon and forcibly occupied by the people with political support for agriculture and housing purposes. I have seen in the many states, and I think you see the Punjab and Rajasthan, other states, and before election, the incumbent chief ministers would be all the promise regularization such lands, and after elections fulfill the promise. You have seen the, Delhi for all parties. No party is we can't expect any party. Recently in UP, all party promises 300 units power, and BJP also there, Samajwadi Party also there, BSP also there, and the small party trying to be big, and the liar party, big liar party of the country, Aam Aadmi Party also. But Western chunk of 4.5 million hectares of forest and bartered at that time the enforcement. And these days, soaps are the form the cash subsidies also cost of economy. Elections Commission's model of conduct come into force after elections are announced. How there is no embargo on the political parties promising freebies. The ECI at the behest of Supreme Court in August 2013 held a meeting with the 6 national parties and 24 regional parties to impress upon them to stop announcing freebies as they do not respect the level playing fields between the parties. The Commission wanted freebies to be brought under the ambit of the model of conduct, but none of the parties except Bahujan Samaj Party agreed it. This should be or this should not be. This is today we are matter of discussion because the election is in India at hand, and we have Professor Shivaji Sarkar already more than 45 years in the in journalism. I have not seen the media. We have Alok Laharji from Spain, for European Affairs Aspect, and Rakesh Tiwari ji, the group editor in chief of Hindi Times Canada. He is just uh, already fueling the flame of Hindi in Canada, like it states from India, that is a Bharat, whatever. So, Professor Shivai Sarkar, how just you analyze the freebie politics in India? Or why not they are stopping? Sometimes you see the when the RTI for the fund, all party united. If the all party just increase of the pay perks, all party united, even 1 minute bill passed at the cost of the public money. Why and what for?
I think it is failure of Indian politics.
I just only one say we have only 30 minutes and we have three speakers. We are
Yes,
three
I'm
minutes
coming
each.
down to it.
Yeah, we have to take the time discipline also. Thank you.
You see, there is one thing why this freebie so-called is there. Nobody wants to have something free. I can tell you. Those who are receiving it, they also don't want it. They don't like it, but they're compelled to have it. And I believe one loss that world politics has is the decimation of the so-called communists. I don't have any love for communists. But one thing they ensured that there will be a welfare state everywhere. And that made most capitalist countries also to turn to welfareism.
Yes.
And that is one thing that very extremely important. Now, what happened, especially after 1990s, when the entire world went into the liberalization and virtual freebie mode? Freebie for whom? The corporate. Look, what is liberalization and globalization? You have been devastating all economies. India was insulated with a mixed economy, partly public sector, partly private sector, and there were free enterprises also. I can tell you one instant. 1980, at Pragati Maidan in Delhi, two of my pen friends, those days were the days of pen friends, they were coming back after their marriage from Japan. The girl was German, the boy was from Japan. They came here. I took them around Delhi, all historic places and all everything. But nothing impressed them so much. Yes, they enjoyed it. What they enjoyed was the consumer fair in Pragati Maidan. After moving around all over, the first question to me was, don't you import anything? We find from needle to blade to everything that you want, you are having here. We don't produce, we import. We are importing. We are taking everything. I said, no, we import heavy machines. But that is the pride I had, the way they said. Now we have devastated. When we are devastating what is real Swadeshi, and you are importing all kinds of nonsense, and what nonsense? You are importing basically capital. And in terms, the repatriation is heavier. That is one aspect. The second aspect is India, many may not agree, India is one of the highest paid, tax paid country. Even the beggar here pays 40% of income as taxes. And in that kind of situation, what income is really left with any person? It is not an income tax, it is an impoverishing tax. So those who pay income tax in today, they pay 73 to 83% of their income as taxes. And then you want the economy to thrive. Extremely impossible. While you want the corporate to pay not more than 22% with all their cuts now. So these dichotomies, what has happened now? Average Indians do not have jobs because you are not producing anything, you are not manufacturing anything. You do not have capacity to buy. So, till a few years back, the poverty ratio was around 26%. I say maybe slightly more, 30% plus may have been. But now, after this entire globalization and entire closure of economies, shops, everything, after the levying of GST, many entrepreneurs, they have become traders. Now, 80 crore people officially is recognized by government as real poor. They're paying heavy taxes on their money. They're not, don't think they're not paying taxes. They're paying at least 40% of their income is still as taxes. Even if they do not have an income, they're paying the taxes. They do not have jobs. Now, what do you do? Those people are not given free food, some other free facilities. You see, in this capitalist country now, there will be definitely a violent revolution. This is the capitalist way of keeping the people somehow satisfied that they buy the politics that is being sold to them. What kind of political parties now we have? What kind of political parties we have? Nobody listens. No political party in power listens to anybody. They feel whatever they are doing, and especially, particularly, serving the corporate has become the virtual monopoly of all political parties. It is not one or other. So, in this kind of situation, the freebie is actually the vaccine for the political parties for survival. If you don't give those freebies, because you are not serving the people, you are not helping them have their jobs, have a proper life. I'm not saying a good life. There is no health care system, or if it is having, it is extremely expensive. You can't afford it. So you have seen during this COVID, lakhs died without virtually any care. And even the crematorium had no place to burn them properly. So this kind of situation, freebie has become a necessity. And I know very good families, they also are subsisting on that freebies. So it is the failure of Indian politics. It is the failure of Indian economy. That is why this freebie politics is there. Because political parties know if that freebie is not there, they won't be in power. People do not want it, I can tell you. Just 1 minute. Some years back, let me say some decades back, at least two decades back, people, because they could not pay, many of them, they used to travel in trains without ticket. Now, you will not find anybody who goes without ticket. This is the pride of an Indian, and that pride is being
That
eroded.
is the different way. I just
No different way,
I'll
no.
take
It is all these are all
Alokji,
statistics.
Alokji, the
People
chairman of
want to
Rajya
pay.
Sabha in India, Mr. M. Venkaiah Naidu, also the suggestion made by the parliament should function for 100 days in a year is something which needs taken seriously and debated upon. And he assumes the importance of a backdrop of mad tendency being adopted by all political parties without exception to announce freebies whenever they have to face election. So the new culture is that even in the case of bypolls, freebies are being announced. So just he made the concern, made a statement, and uh, already the Vice President of India is also Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Made a concern. So Alok, how just you see, just he is sitting on the constitutional post, but earlier he was also president of BJP and all. He have seen the all. So now Mr. Venkaiah Naidu like person thinking on that this should be not should be adopted and not should be carried forward for the politics and for the politician. How do you analyze this, Alok Lahat?
Unfortunately, Parliament, nobody discuss, no more discuss is the politics at stake. Please, sorry, Ashok ji.
Alok Jal. Now, I'll come to you, Sivaji. Whatever they made a statement, or why they made a statement, we have every right to analyze and criticize. No issue. Alok ji.
Good evening, Kumar Rakesh and fellow panelists and our viewers. Freebies or no freebies? I mean, the whole thing is that the formula has changed. Earlier, what the political parties were doing, I'm talking about India, not in the other places. For example, let's say in case, let's say in Europe, somebody is wearing the badge of your party, and maybe he's given a sandwich or a hamburger or something like this. This is okay. But if you tell somebody that vote for me, I'll give you something, that is bribery and it is prohibited by law. It cannot be done. But what was happening in India was that they were giving that the quarter or a liter of bottle or whatever, and they were buying votes. Now, in that case, what was happening was that the political party used to collect money for the next elections. That was public money which was robbed by the political parties, so that for the next elections, they'll be able to give small little bribes to them. But now there comes a new party They don't have any money. They come up with a different agenda. That agenda fails to, and suddenly they see that we are going to have, we can become a political power. So they decide to become a political power in spite of the fact that they said thousand times that I swear by my children or whatever that I'll not fight for elections, and but still he goes on and fights. I'm talking about Arvind Kejriwal. He goes and fights, and he announces these freebies. It could be free buses, free metro. In case he starts free metro, then there was this gentleman. He said we'll not be able to repay the loan back, but he doesn't bother because he did not have that money which the other political parties had. They had collected over the years, so he did not have. He changed the trick. The trick is I use the public money and I pay to. So it is, when we have this arti, we all sing at home. There is a very wonderful line in that arti which says, Tera tujhko arpan kya lage mera. So it is basically, it's your money. He's giving it to you and he's become the king for 5 years. So people have to understand this. It is not that he's giving it from his pocket. It is your money, Baba. You want to spend it. The only thing is that this money is the taxpayers' money, and only 1% of the people, they pay taxes. We can have a lot of nostalgia about the political situation is like that people cannot, unless and until people pay taxes, there is no other way to collect money to run a country. You know it, and I know it, and everybody knows it. How many people pay taxes? So we don't have a socialism. For example, in Europe or in the United States, if you are doing any kind of economic activity, you have to be registered with the tax office. You might pay or you might get your money back from them. Whatever paid, the indirect taxes I'm talking about, in case you've been paying VAT and you don't earn enough, but you spend so much money that you spend more money on taxes than you have recovered taxes for the government, they will give you your money back. But in India, we are not even registered. Not even 1% of the people are paying taxes because people are not registered to pay those taxes. Anybody and everybody who is, earning money, he has to be registered in the census. It is not
Now,
happening like this.
now, a new system has been made now, just going to the Aadhaar card and the voter card is going to be connected. So I think maybe. I'm
What
not
will
disputing
happen?
or
I don't
supporting
care. What
anyone.
has been
I will
happening in
slightly
the
differ
last
with you, but I
17
will
years,
discuss it
we
later.
have to talk about that.
No, no,
Now, in such
just
a
I'm giving,
case, and
I'm
then
giving
we
you
come
the
up with
latest
statements
development.
like this that
I'm giving the latest
people are
development.
not ready to buy. In 2020, which is a COVID year, the sale of cars is 2.43 million units in India, which is an increase of 1.31 million units. Can you imagine? And we are saying we don't have money. How can we do like this? This is true that unemployment rates has increased because of COVID. There is an increase of 2%. I think the figures which I have right in front of me is
But Alok
7.11%
ji, we are
in
Alok ji, we are
2021. So we cannot talk like
we
this.
are diverting the issue.
We have to
Actually,
make it very clear that any political party who is giving freebies, there has to be some mechanism to stop it. If the political parties do not agree, we have to approach the Supreme
Election
Court,
Commission.
and they should take some kind of stand on this. If it is constitutional or if it is not constitutional, that the court has to decide. I'm not an expert on the
Okay,
constitution.
okay. So
But
my
what
suggestion.
is happening is another
Yeah,
kind of bribery,
yeah.
and it is bribery which you're giving with your hands covered. There's
Okay,
nothing different between giving a pawa or an adda,
okay.
or giving money to get votes or giving these freebies. I don't see any difference.
Okay, Rakesh Tiwari ji and Alok Lahar ji is saying, I think I'm also agree. You maybe agree that this is the freebies, just direct bribes to the voters, just to allure them. Do you think so? One. Do you think this type of any freebies in Canada and any American countries? Have you come across any experiences? Unmute yourself, Tiwari ji.
Thank you, Kumar Rakesh ji, and all the fellow panelists. Let me, start by this, and I'll come back to your question. I'm agreeing with Shivaji. he has mentioned it very clearly. This is a failing of a democracy. Just like you have failed to feed your children, and then you try to give him a candy, okay, or you have not, and try to feed them and by alluring them. That definitely this freebie culture, because you have not done the basic work as is supposed to be. Now, while you have asked me that what about in Canada and stuff, whenever the emergency comes, such emergency like corona, okay, where a whole world, means all the, I will say,
Yes.
responsible
Yeah.
democracies, they have supported their citizens. Canada has supported with the,
But that is
no.
that will not come into the freebies. Whatever is Corona. Yeah.
Let me complete my point, sir.
Please, please.
But they have supported that we are supporting. This is, you are under this line, then you are getting it. If you don't have insurance, then still you are getting it. So in this time, and that's right thing, that's absolutely right thing. While I think the whole issue is somewhere coming where Arvind Kejriwal has started in Delhi, okay, and then this culture become more. But let me say this: I will not give him that credit. The credit goes back to VP Singh, who has started. I will go to that. Means you have put our farmers sector, a farming sector, in such a desperate situation. People started dying. No system at all was working. I mean, the banks and everybody was there to force and loot. Your system was, and you were giving the money. Let's put it this way: so many movies, so many stories, so many novels came. Where, and I remember particularly a movie of Hyderabad, where Bowman Irani has acted, where he has to get a loan to dig a well for his
That is a movie.
for his
That is,
field.
I am telling you that movie.
Let
Well done,
sir,
Abba. I'm plus. I'm input. I'm plusing inputs that the film was the Well Done, Abba, directed by Shyam
yes,
Benegal.
yes,
That
absolutely,
time Shyam
absolutely.
Benegal was a member of parliament. How his
Absolutely.
fund,
So so
how
so
it,
let's put it
yeah,
this way.
yeah.
This freebies culture was coming, and that's the way looted. We have those people. Let me say this with a heavy heart, that whatever the Britishers has looted India at that time, are the other who have made us enslaved. Our own people have they are looting us, and that comes the bureaucracy, that comes the politicians, and there comes the corporate sectors or whosoever, free to loot whatever you want to. Let me come back to this point. While I will say there is a smart politician like Arvind Kejriwal, he said, well, you know what, in the heck, is easy. They were challenging him. Hey, come to the politics, come to the battlefield, and we will show you that who is the winner here. So he is smart enough. He is a study. He has the people in his who are supporting him. He started this freebie. Now everybody is following him. Definitely, I will say this is a very serious. Democracy itself is going in a danger zone, because this culture, this way, you have no system at all. Your system is going to is a sign of it. I will say sign of collapse, because everywhere, and this culture, if will continue, so the people who are coming from abroad, they are investing the money. Tomorrow they are scared. You know what? So people got the habit of taking the things for free. Hey, why, and in a way you are not making the people, or when you are making money, you are earning whatever you are doing, and afterwards you are responsibility, you are paying your taxes. So making electricity free, of course, for those people who are very poorest to the poorest, if for them you are for certain period of time, if you're doing it, you're helping them, you're providing them good neighborhood, whatever you're doing, people will not object towards it. But a kind of a mass your announcement that we are going to make it free, all this, although it is a right, it should be right, I will say, I will support to that extent, that if Indian democracy, Bharati democracy is able to provide, they say, see, we are going to provide to our citizens, free of this, and but they are paying their taxes, then it will somewhere it will make sense. Else, I will say, we are in a danger zone, and we should counter these politicians why they are announcing these freebies for
That's the
everybody.
point. That's the point.
Yes,
That's
we
the
should
point.
ask everybody,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
nobody should be spared. Neither BJP, no
Any party,
SAPA.
any party,
Everybody is
any
responsible.
party,
You
any
have
political parties.
everybody
Any.
is responsible.
Yeah. So time of break, and after break, I'll just take the Shivaji Sarkar and Alok ji, how we are the danger zone, how we should do it. Political parties, we think political parties not going to do it because they are just
Absolutely, we are in a
already
danger
living
zone.
in the, yeah. So just a time of break, after break, I will just we'll meet again.
जब तू फोन टीवी देखते हो तो उस तरह की आवाज निकलती
We'll come to break. Just we're discussing the freebie politics in India and how the freebie politics affecting the life of the people on our cost, whatever taxpayer cost. If you see the economy of the freebie politics, the attitude comes from the decades of the operating within dominant discourse of market capitalism. India's vocal reach, who shape the opinions in the media, are closely imbricated in the corporate world. And these are the employed by the corporates or run small businesses and act vendors to the larger company. These are lawyers, doctors, architects, designers, other professionals who sell the services to the people. And we also, Babus, Neta, media, commentator, also the symbiotic relationship with the affluent class. This is also a reason how just he going to be accumulate, how is going to be well, a politician and all who are just, I think, affect the policies, how the govern policies. Shivaji Sarkar, just as Rakesh Tiwari said, we are in danger zone. Really, we are in danger zone. We should be agree with that. And how we public, how the policy is making by the present government, an Aadhaar card is going to connect it with the voter card, and they necessity and this is a mandatory. The polling will be mandatory for every citizen of the country. This is a good move. But how these freebies all are keeping mum? Why? If the increase of the salary and perks of the parliamentarian within 1 minute, if you're talking discussion on the construction of road, it will take the 5 hours, 7 hours discussion. After that, nothing happened. We have seen the
Even
parliament
years.
and many years. 370 took the 70 years to just to abrogation. What nonsense! Why and what for? The national issues sideline, personal issues come in. Why and what for?
I think, Rakesh, we need to divide this nation into two phases. One,
Okay.
the first 40 years, and the next 30 years. The first 40 years, there are problems, but there was a yearning for all the people to rise. There are political parties, they may have differences, but they were committed to certain principles, even the worst ones. What is the socialism? Whether it is Congress's mixed views or anything, but basically everyone wanted that the people should be served. There should be welfare for everybody. Everybody should prosper, and the country must rise to heights. And that is how we created the public sector. We created government institutions. We created a system where education was largely funded by the government. And fortunately enough, government institutions are considered the best. It is just not the IITs and medical colleges and the science institutes and all like that. No, not that. Anywhere in any district, I can tell you almost anywhere, sorry, all over in northern India, Any state you can take, the best institute that was there in any district was the government school or government college. It was an affordable education. Teachers, or even in aided schools, they were serving. The government was paying the teachers' salaries. And people who could not pay, they were even given the free ship. During the last 30 years, we eroded everything that is supposed to be government, that is public sector. Belied it. Serving or not is not the issue. पब्लिक सेक्टर है तो खराब है, हमें प्राइवेट में काम करना है क्योंकि प्राइवेट में पैसा आएगा, टका चाहिए टका. This mentality of taka has ruined this country.
Yeah, agree.
Remember, I'm just giving one instance. I'm giving one instance. During the first 40 years, the scams that were there, whether it was Nagarwala or Mundra, you can count on your fingertips. On tips, I'm not saying on the fingers. And between 90 and 2000, we have 100 large scams, none of which was less than 1 lakh crore. And then on, it has been continuing. We nationalized banks for the purpose that people should get the benefit. They got the benefit. People were thriving, businesses were thriving, small businesses were thriving. 90 onwards, we started eroding that. They started being looted by the corporate. All those lakh crores had gone from banks, financial institutions, and other financial organizations. Even during the last few years, we have seen the RBI was virtually looted. We know how it was forced to give dividends, which is not the mandate of RBI. So when you virtually destroy all institutions because some corporate have to thrive, there can't be a democracy. The democracy is now today is that of corporate democracy. And you can't today speak against any corporate. If you speak against any corporate, if you're working anywhere, you'll be thrown out. That is the democracy we are serving today. And if that continues, what you were saying of the danger to democracy, already democracy has been virtually demolished in this country. And the freebies are the basic insurance of this corporate. People should remain poor and they should thrive. Just I will give you one instance. You know, metros are being expanded every day. It's going to Haryana, it is going to Bhopal, it is going to Karnataka, and it is every metro is loss-making metro. And who is losing? It is all coming from the banks. So nobody is suffering. Only the banks are suffering. Every metro, including Delhi metro, is suffering.
Banks suffering, then
And
we are suffering.
remember,
If bank is suffering, we are
even in
suffering.
Delhi, metro is trying to reduce its frequency to reduce its losses, not make profit. And despite that, we are having different types of metros, RRTS, ATS, OTS. So this is not the way that a country should do. Was the job of the railways. They were doing it fine. But you said railways were doing the paisa to private ke paas aayega nahi. Privatization hona chahiye. This privatization is the biggest bane that we are serving today. Unless we have a proper government system, proper public sector, and a mixed economy.
Tiwari ji, something
You
want
see,
to
from
add.
the day one till today,
Tiwari.
private sector doesn't want to invest in power sector. In any infrastructure sector, you build it, they will occupy it. Airports, you build it, they will occupy it.
But who is
Air
giving the
India, you
order?
build
That
it,
is also
they will
another
occupy
question.
it. This is the bane of the Indian economy. And so, by giving some freebies to the poor people, and poor Indians, I myself is a poor person that way. They're trying to keep my mouth shut. And that is what we are seeing even in the Indian elections. Who owns the Indian elections? The rich. And among the rich, it is the richer who wins the Indian elections.
May I
Alokji was
intervene?
saying, Alokji was saying
Please,
bribery.
Tiwari.
It is
Tiwari.
entire election process is full of bribery.
Tiwari, something,
May I
Rakesh, Tiwari.
intervene?
Please, please.
Just couple of days back, you might have noticed, everybody must have noticed, the 100 billionaires of the world, they have gathered, they have issued a statement, and they're saying, please tax us more. They say, compassionate corporates, compassionate billionaires. I'm not pointing out whatever they are trying to do. That means one thing for sure, the so-called democracy is serving, and they are saying, listen, you are our slaves, the governments and the bureaucrats. We know that you are our slave, but come on, at least for showing, saving our faces, charge us something, so we can say that, okay, during this corona, this omicron, and during this time period, okay, we have done something, so the face can be saved. Now let me say this, the seeds are in the beginning, and I agree with that. I think somewhere this fight was going on. Of course, I will agree with this part, although I was not born at that time. But 50s, 60s, 70s, around that time, people were, they had the values. Teachers were, honesty was still a value. Although I will totally agree with this point, and this is my submission, that the politicians were corrupt from the day one. There were few exceptions who were
No, that is
fighting,
not correct,
and
please.
they were honest. But slowly, by 60s and 70s, they got eliminated. You got only one name. After in 1962-64, you have a name, Lal Bahadur Shastri, and that's it. That's it. When you talk about it, around that time, I guarantee you, sir, read the novels, read the stories, and know what every common neta was doing at that time. The looting was started, and the public system was made to fail. When your teachers, when you're the people who are honestly working, and they were forced to. Coming back to this bribe, whatever, and I think the panel is agreeing. Alokji is saying the same thing. Shivaji is saying he has started the discussion. He has made that point. We should be and this is a bigger battle. We have to understand that China has already said it. Russia has already said it. They said, you listen to all the Western democracies in the world. Then listen, whatever, don't think you are the only one who's running this system and the countries, and that you are portraying it, you are the best. But I will definitely say that in this panel again, what we spoke already, we are in a great danger. And this COVID situation is widening the gap. This is and of course, this freebies is just to keep their mouth shut. Freebies is just to keep their mouth shut, but I don't think so. This can last longer. Thank you.
Okay. Alok Laharji, just whatever Shivaji says and Rakesh Shivaji says, the free from mouth shut. Do you think the mouth is shut now, will be shut now, as announcing freebies in haste actually, without legislative debate, is not producing the desired benefits? That only ends up the irresponsible expenditure, as we know. Welfare scheme in the form of power and water bill only just waiver could be justified if there were help to the farmers. Election ensured in practical, illogical pronouncement by political parties and all use and turning out the far removed from the budgetary and infrastructure realities of the states, and which are struggling even to pay the salaries and facing the protest by job seekers. So literally, it just go to the danger sign. How will we just end up? And Supreme Court already instructed. Vice President of India already said this debate issue widely debated by the all political parties on being weak just said, shows the concern. After all, how just will be the end of how just to go? This is the back. They really mean us.
Okay, now I could not disagree more with both the other panelists.
Okay.
I don't think that democracy is it's in danger. I don't think India is in danger. I don't think the Indian economy is in danger. And I don't subscribe to the fact that, the socialization of economy has worked. Had it been working, there was nothing better than Soviet Union. But it plunged. What is happening in Cuba? Right now, the people in Cuba, they are on the streets and they are criticizing the economy. What has happened to Venezuela? It's the number one producer of oil in the world. They don't
Lebanon
have
is also
stuff in the
example.
supermarket. Now, this is
Yeah.
what socialism is giving you. You know, it's very
No,
nice
wait.
to be nostalgic about socialism and that the
I would
banks
like to
were like
counter
this and the
on
government
this
schools
point.
were good or whatever was happening. This is absolutely not correct. When
Alokji,
I
a
was a
small
child,
intervention.
when I
I
was
am
a
not.
Sir,
child,
sir, time is
I am not a
only one
socialist. I
minute
am not
now.
praising
when
socialism.
anybody speaks, I
I am
don't
saying
intervene.
Yeah, me
So
Sir,
I
too.
let
don't
me
we
like when
exploit good
somebody else
institutions
intervenes.
to create bad ones.
So in
That's all.
case you want to talk, you talk, then I don't talk.
yeah, please.
Now, when I was a child, government schools were the schools which did not even have window panes. They did not have chalk. They did not have teachers coming there. They used to take the roll call and go away. This was the situation of the government schools. The hospital system, we don't have something like Canada has or Spain has because we did not socialize the healthcare. The only thing was there was one AIMS here or some hospital there, and anybody and everybody who could go there, and later on who could go there with the letter of an MP, then the healthcare was working. The education institutions, in case at all, if they were working, were the IITs and the one AIMS which we had. Otherwise, majority of the standard of education, it was hijacked and controlled by the socialists. You know the deal which was signed between Congress and the Communist Party. You know what happened to the education after that. You started socializing the minds of the people, and then you wanted to bring that. This is not true at all. There was nothing working. Even the industry was not working because the only two cars we had were Fiat and Ambassador. Now, when you liberalize the economy, the government is there to rule. It is not there to run a business. It's none of their business. They don't know how to run a business. So, how are they going to run? So, the Indian economy from 1986 onwards, it skyrocketed. We were the 13th most industrialized nations, and now we are the fourth largest economy in the world. I think all this has happened because of the liberalization of the economy, because right people are running the economy, not untrained people. A bureaucrat doesn't know how to run a business. In case it is your money and I'm made to, do the business,
May I intervene?
run the show, it is not going to work. If it is your own money and you know that if you do it wrongly, it is going to go down the drain, then you are scared and then you take the right decisions. So all this which
Okay.
is happening, all those scams are happening. Are they happening in the private sector? Yes Bank is there, or a couple of banks are also there. But majority of the scams which have come in, and
The
just
government
let's
sector.
not forget that it
May
was
I?
Mrs. Gandhi who nationalized the banks, and then they were privatized again. Why were you doing all this?
Sir,
You are
Alok
doing
ji,
all
May,
this. I
Alok
mean,
may I
ji,
just
say,
yes.
Dr.
imagine this
Rakesh,
is
for the sake
Alok
of
because
ji,
time?
the
you have
private
provoked us
sector
enough. Now we
starts
have to join.
working and you
No,
Now
have
we
no.
have
to
to.
let them
Now we
work.
have to have some say
It is
on it.
not that
Just a minute.
you're giving favors to
Alokji,
Birla ji or Tata ji,
Sir,
and
sir,
now
sir.
you
Alokji,
see the
I
number
think
of
you have
billionaires
made the
which India
point.
has
You
is
have made
more
your
than
point.
anywhere in the world. I mean, just imagine that.
I know.
So what I'm trying
Sir,
to
this
say
is
is
not
you
a
cannot just
okay, yeah.
fall in
We agree
love
what you were
with
saying.
a
Please
beautiful
let me say
woman
one
called
thing.
socialism, and then
Shivaji.
you say, no, I'm going
Please.
to marry something else. No,
Okay,
this is
okay.
not going to
No,
happen.
no.
Alok ji,
Just
Alok
If you
ji,
I
you
change the
get
agree.
the
system,
point,
you
sir.
have to
I
accept
totally
the
agree with you,
system in its
Alokji. But let
totality.
me say one thing. Let me say one thing.
Sir, I
Why
have
did
only 1 minute.
just
We're already
very
5 minutes
small one?
crossed.
I have a very
Please,
small question. I have nothing to answer.
please.
Why did world economic collapse in 2007-8? Who were responsible? It was all the large private sector. Why Satyam collapsed? Was it a private sector? And many others collapsed like that, and we do not know about it. And whose money it was? It was all
But
public
that,
money,
that
money
was the
of the
nexus
bank.
of the
No,
government.
no, Kumar Rakesh ji,
So
now I
it
Shivaji,
have
is
something to
not
Shivaji,
say.
the
that
private
will
I
long
sector.
have,
discussion.
Private
I have
sector is a
something to say.
great god. No, they are
No,
not.
no,
Socialism
that
was
will have
bad.
a long
Private sector is
discussion.
worse.
All private companies and private concern collapse due to with just the
May
nexus
I?
with the government
May I
government
intervene?
organization.
May I say
Please,
something, sir?
sir,
I
sir,
come from
we are running
Canada.
of time.
Listen.
We're running of
No, no,
time.
just one line. Let me say this. During
Please.
this 2007 and 2008 collapse, Canada stood. Let me say this. We learned, we were watching the whole world. Our economy was at, it didn't slow down. Only during the corona still, I will say nobody bothers about Canada because you see US giant, you see China, you see Russia. And let me say, we have the both system. capitalism as well as the socialist system, both in Canada. India must learn from Canada. Let me openly say it, that the way we have functioned, the way we are functioning, we are taking care of the poorest to the poorest, and even we are taxing to the highest too. India is now adopting the GST. We adopted 20 years back GST. 15 to 13% every Canadian pays. So the answer to this debate, when we talk about freebies culture, when the people needs it, government stands by it, and when they don't need it, we pay with the taxes, and we happily pay. We do complain sometimes, no doubt about it, when we have to pay, but we do. Thank you.
So nice, just so nice of you, all of you. Just you already shared your views. It's high time for the parties realize that if they deliver the normal development activities during their 5-year tenure, they no need to resort the previous, which are the short-term measures. This only shows this government are not having any vision to change the things. If the concept of irresponsible populism
is small, very small sentence. Private is corrupting the public. Private is corrupting all the politicians and the public sector. They are destroying.
Let me conclude, sir. Let me conclude, please. Sir, let me conclude. The election expenditure can also come down, and country can progress fast. We people do also realize they are being made to sell their votes in the name of freebies. If they do not resist, they can't expect the good leaders. This also observation made by the Tamil Nadu High Court recently. A judge opined the money spent on the freebies utilized constructively by the creating job opportunities, building infrastructure such as dams, lakes, and better facilities, and providing incentive to the agriculture, which are becoming the orphan in the country. Definitely, there is social uplift and progressive state. The political parties should be prevented from giving the election promises, which can add the burden to the public exchequer. The court observed also, but the question is who will build the cat? So whatever we are discussing, that is also who will build the cat. We have to now, discussion is on, more discussion on this, who will build the cat, how it will be stopped on the cost of the public exchequer. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you.